Friday, 23rd of July 2022, Askern Greyhound Stadium at Doncaster held its final meeting. This was the end of an era. It was the end of flapping racing, or what was known as an independent stadium. The following film is to give people an insight into the sport of flapping, the history of the game, and the people involved in it. So the first greyhound stadium to open was Bellevue, Manchester. That opened in 1926 and drew a crowd of 1,700 people on the opening night. From then on, greyhound racing built and built and built, and it was estimated there was like 34 million people who watched greyhound racing around that era, and that gradually diminished until more recently it was estimated that only 2 million people were actually attending regular greyhound meetings. So that just shows you how far the sport went downhill over the years. But I've got Eric with me, and you must have some memories of Bellevue Stadium.
I used to go to Bellevue on a Thursday, and I couldn't believe it. I cannot believe how Bellevue closed, because every time you went, it was packed to the rafters, full. Downstairs and upstairs, the bookies were outside near the wall, and you went on and went up some steps into the restaurant part upstairs, and the bars, 2 or 3 bars for to have drinks and that, and it were always full. And you could always get a good bet on, £2,000 or £3,000 you could get it on. But I just cannot bring it to my mind how the place had gone down.
But I don't know, is it just that there were more money to be selling that amount of land for building land? You know, is that was that part of the problem? I mean, when you look at a lot of where the flapping tracks were, what stands there now? Big housing estates, a lot of private housing estates. You look where Mexbury Dog track were, you know, look where Rotherham Greyhound track were, not Holmes Ground, all built over. So is it, you know, was that part of the problem, Eric?
Well, I think housing does come into it, because Dillington, the built on there, building it has done a lot of, it's caused a lot of problems. Buying land for it, you know, they'll buy land and build it anywhere. Yeah,
but the price houses that private houses make these days, you know what I mean? It's a big temptation, yeah, I suppose, for any track owner when they come with that sort of money, you know, and you know, and I think that's been part of the downfall. Obviously, the sport did lose. It lost followers, you know. There were different things. I mean, when we were kids, that's what we'd get a few shilling for walking people's greyhounds.
That was unfair.
You know, the kids don't want to do that these days. They've all got computers and laptops and mobile phones, and it's a different era, a different way of life, I suppose.
When I was young lad, we used to go ferreting, and ferrets and lurchers and whippets and that. And you don't see them doing nothing now. The lads used to go fishing and that. They're all pigeon flying, miler flying and all that. And all you do now, you see them, and the phoning thing, on phone, computers and all this. And it's a drug, that.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, the thing I've noticed, and put you up as an example, when we were young, like I said, that's what we did. We walked greyhounds for people, you know, and if you got 2 or 3, and like I said, a lot of people in the same area, in the same housing estate would have greyhounds. So you might get 3 jobs for 3 different people walking dogs, for you make your pocket money. And I think all the walking we did as kids stood us in good stead, because you're now what, 84 years old?
So I'm 83.
So you're 83, so you're not doing bad. I'm 70-year-old, so we're not doing too bad, are we? So we must have got some benefit from it.
I haven't walked right far with dogs.
Not recently. So I'm here today with David Dennett, the owner of Askern Flapping Track. Is it the last flapping track in the country, this, David?
Yes.
How long have you actually had this place?
The track was bought out of receivership from the Yorkshire Bank in the mid to late 70s, sorry.
So you've been here
Yes,
since then?
on and off, yeah, since the late 70s.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm racing manager here at Askern. My role is doing track, traps, sorting lads out, making sure dogs are safe, healthy. And my first 2 runners on here were both winners. And then I got out of dogs a little bit, and my dad and my brother went and bought 4 dogs together. My dad didn't have them at his house at that point. I don't think he were allowed. He got bad with them, and he wasn't allowed them. So I had them for my brother and me. I had 2 winners. The first 2 races I had that got back, they both won on the same night. 3-1 and 2-1, which I'm not a gambler, but my dad is. So my dad got the bug again. Then he was like, oh, come on, we'll go get some more dogs. So he went round buying a load of rubbish, to be honest with you. We had a kennel with 8 dogs. My brother had a kennel with 4 dogs. My dad had, they eventually plucked up courage to ask for some dogs. His wife said yes, so him and my little brother, Joseph, he got them. And yeah, they had some good winners. So yeah, it's a lot of family thing, to be honest with you. The last man that were living here, he basically says is leaving. 3 years ago this, and I got offered the opportunity to come and train dogs, trial dogs, school dogs, and I've learnt an awful lot. For what it is, for the people and the friendships and everything, for the people that are actually going to lose out with this place. There's people, Eric Plant, I've known Eric for 10 years, there's some funny stories and stuff with him, but there's a man like him that's seeing the flapping game. We were on about it earlier. He must have lost dogs left, right and centre from different tracks and everything. And this place shutting down, it's not the best of things for it.
I'm here with a lifelong greyhound man. This is Eric Pickersgill. Everyone on the track knows him as Planty. He's been dog racing.
I've had dogs. I'm 82, nearly 83 year old now, Dave.
Yeah.
And I've had them since I was 11 year old.
Well, I can remember you running dogs at Onewell track, and I was only a lad of 14 or 15 then.
Aye.
And I remember you having a big coloured dog up there called Jake.
Jake,
Yeah.
a fawn and white dog.
Good dog, yeah.
Good dog, aye.
Let me just read some of these off to you, Eric, what I wrote down today. These are what I remember. You'll remember these places. The one we mentioned, Mexbury Dog Daisy Stadium. Then there was Sternsker Spike Stadium. Doncaster, the one in the town.
Yeah.
Then there was Onewell, Low Valley. There were 2 tracks in Onewell.
Station Road, they call
Yeah.
one.
There was Rotherham Homes Ground.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Onewell Off Lane. That
Off
was
Lane,
what they
yeah.
call the top track.
That was a good running track.
It was a very good track, that, yeah. And then there was Doncaster Stainford. That's gone over to the licence now, hasn't it?
licence. Benny Lovett, a man called Benny Lovett owned that.
Barnsley,
Dillington.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously Goldthorpe Highgate,
Highgate.
which is now an auction site.
Yes.
And then this one here, this is Askern,
Yeah.
Doncaster. So as a young fella, you would have been racing what every night at week?
Nearly every day, aye.
Yeah.
Just depends what shift I was on at pit.
I just think for people like yourself who's done this all your life, when this place, you know,
I'm right, disheartened about it. Because we've 11 over here to go, unfortunately. I'm a bit lucky because I have a lot of canaries and
Yeah.
I've about 60 birds and there's some pigeons and I'll have to mess about with them. But personally, I'd sooner have dogs.
yeah. But as well as the racing side of it, you're going to obviously miss the social side of it as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
The mixing with people, seeing your pals every week, and
You're not going to see your mates who
Yeah,
you've known
that's
all
right.
your life.
Yeah.
I've got some friends up there, Big John from Wigan, John Waters. We've been friends for a lot of years when I used to go to St Helens and Woodhouse Lane. And I think a lot of we're right good friends. I'm not forced to see him again.
That's right, mate. Yeah, I understand that. But, the thing is, the sad thing about these places is when they're closed, they never come back, do they?
When this closes, it'll never open again.
They never come back. It seems like the modern day youngsters don't want to
They're not interested.
They're not interested.
All you see now with young lads now, they don't go fishing, they ain't got a ferret in pocket or half a dozen nets with terrier little lurch outside of them. All that are bothered now
In their
and on telephone.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. So, you know, the attendance of these places, what's been the difference from when you started in this game in the 70s to?
The big difference, I would say, is the fact that when we first started, it was local people.
Yeah.
Now we have few local people, but everybody travels. You know, when I was to finish racing on a night, there'd be still 30, 40 people in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
I finish now, there's nobody left in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
They're all travelling. You know, I was lucky enough to have 3-4 years at the White City Derby. The White City Derby, right, before the dogs came out, well, the dogs came out to a full marching military brass band. That was it. Like you said, it was run in the dark, packed crowds, brilliant. It went to Wimbledon. They started off with 3 trumpeters who brought the dogs out. It ended up with piped music at the end, and that's exactly how dog racing's gone. Yeah. It's gone from all singing and dancing down to
Cutting corners.
Not a lot.
You know,
and that's exactly how the sport's gone.
Right, Trev, do you want to tell us about how this is going to impact your life, mate?
Well, I've been coming here for over 25 years. I've ground raced since 1968, when I was 12-year-old at Leeds Ground Stadium. I've been to nearly every ground track in country, from St Austell in Cornwall, Newton Abbot, Wishaw, all over the country. And there's only 2 tracks left after today, I'm afraid, and that's Thornton in Scotland and the Valleys down in Wales. It's a crying shame, but Dave's tried his best over the years to keep track going. He's getting no younger, as you'll appreciate. It's going to have a massive impact on not just the local lads, because we get lads travelling here we've even had them from Wales and Scotland in the last few months, but mainly the lads around here that have supported the track. It's going to be an heartbreaker for them.
It's been coming quickly though, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It has. The amount of tracks that has shut in the last 10 years is phenomenal.
Yeah, but
even to Gretna shutting, what a lovely big track.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, I think a lot of them shut because sometimes in winter they're not viable. Yeah. We understand that. So you've got to make hay while the going's good in summer. But I think a lot of them, like Easington, I think that shut's got a load of houses on it. So, you know, they've built on it. Colville, I think they built houses on Colville. They put houses on a lot of them. I think this one, personally, I haven't spoken to Dave. I speak to him on a regular basis, but I ain't asked him because it's his business. I think he's had enough. I'm guessing he's knocking on for 70. He might be a bit older, he might be a bit younger, I don't know.
68.
He lost his wife last year, God bless. He lost his dad this year, and I don't think that's what's done it. I think he's worked hard all his life. He likes to do it all himself. He's on chaps with CJ when it's snowing and raining. I just think he's had enough.
I was running a dog at Dillington at Barnsley, a dog called Rolo. A very, very fast dog. Same night, we were giving 16 yard start away. And a man come up to me, a man called Reg Pascoe, and he was from Plymouth. And he says, "Would you be interested fetching this dog on?" I says, "Where?" He said, "Torquay." I said, "Torquay?" I says, "What's it like?" He said, "It's like Rotherham track." Well, he was one of the best dogs on track. So we took him down and backed him, and he was about 12 or 14 length in front, and he fell down, rolled over. I thought, that's it, and got up, followed them round. And we were counting money, how much we'd left. And with 50 bob, £2.50, to get one from Torquay to Barnsley. So I thought, well, and we were in a 55 van, sitting back some, 3 in front, 2 in back with dog. My arse were numb. So I says, we're going to have to get some petrol. So we goes and get £2 worth of petrol. Then we get further home, coming home. I said, we'll have to siphon some petrol. So we started a mop bucket and a milk bottle, cutting pipes on cars, getting fuel out. And my brother, Arthur, I thought, he's a long time. And he come back, I says, have they got any? He said, no. He said, I can't get any. I says, why? He says, I said, what's I been doing? He said, I've been trying to get some milk float. Batteries. I said, well, and next morning, we get home about 5:30 and I felt sick as a pig. I was a work a fortnight. I went to the doctor's and I looked like Floyd Patterson with my lips swelled up with petrol fumes. Terrible. Aye.
Right, Dad, do you want to tell us about a dog that you brought from down south?
A trainer in down.
A good trainer, but...
But for the camera, can you stop calling me Dad?
Why? All right, Grandad, what is it? No.
Yes, I will tell it. I will tell the story. I actually got 2 off him. I got a phone call. Len, I've got a right dog for you down here. Absolutely brilliant, blah, blah, blah. It just stopped in a race. Right, fine. And I've got you the bitch to go with it. So they were kennel mates. So anyway, the bitch came to me. The dog came here to see you. I said, look after that dog a couple of days while I get my kennel sorted out. Yeah, fine, and that lot. Anyway, bit of time went. And the first time I actually glanced eyes on the dog is when we put it in the traps for a trial over here. And I swear to God, you've never seen a more nervous dog in your life. The traps opened, it flew, absolutely flew down that back straight, got to the corner, anchored on, jumped over the 6-foot fence and legged it into the fields over the road. So anyway, we're there chasing it like absolute idiots. And gets to nightfall, we had to go home. The dog was still out there, we had to go home.
Want a nice feeling.
Want a nice feeling. So I rang a few mates up, and one of my mates, Colin Dibby, said, right, in the morning we'll go out and get it done. So I'm there on Facebook doing some stuff and all this lot. They 2 went out walking miles and miles and miles through trees and everything.
Bearing in mind, every time you rang me and said, there's a sighting,
Oh,
we
yeah,
all
yeah.
had to be up and out.
Well, no, you did. I was at home.
Yeah.
I live in Bradford, by the way. He lived here.
Yeah, I was
So
running.
it's a 40-minute drive. So if there's a sighting, by the time I get here, they're gone. So I used to ring Chris up, that lad, whatever it is, and he used to go get it for us. Do you know what I mean? And look. And if I'm truthful, I don't even think he got out of his house. I don't even think he bothered looking.
I did. I trained for 4 days, actually.
On the 3rd day, I got these drone people out. And I swear to God, within about 15 minutes, up in the sky, about a mile up in the sky, weren't they? They were brilliant. They spotted a dot about 5 miles away in a field.
Laid in a corner, laid in an edge, wasn't it?
And so what they had to do was put the drone close to it and see if it was alive or whatever, or what it was. And as soon as I put the drone close to it, it got up and legged it. It was running miles. So we were running miles as well. Well, he was.
I know what had happened. I was driving down road. He said, oh, they've got it on drone. We've seen it. I said, have they? Yeah. So I'm driving down road and it comes running across the road.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind it were on that side of the road, and A19 down here is busy. It's a busy road. So he runs across road. I parked car up, abandoned car, left
It was down a ditch like that, half down a ditch.
Half down a ditch car. I thought, I've got to get out and go. Worst thing I've ever done in my life. I must have ran 7 miles, wasn't it, Dad?
About a mile, yeah.
No.
About 6-7 miles,
No, yeah. So
Up, over railway lines.
Yeah,
and back,
over
wasn't it?
railway lines, through ditches. Every time I got from here to about 100 metres away, it was laid down knackered. Every time I got near it, it were up and gone. I thought, you dirty bleeder.
So I drove down to the A19 and it run over the road. The traffic, I stopped the traffic by flashing my lights when I was driving on. But
this traffic was static.
Well, they were wagging at first, then the tractor, then cars and that and below, and they all stopped. And lucky for us, the dog ran straight under the wagon when it was stationary, by the way. And it was cowering underneath the back axle of the wagon. So I had to crawl in under and then realised I had no lead. So I had to ask the wagon driver to jump out of his cab and take my belt off my pants.
The wagon driver dropped his pants
Oh
at the
no,
same
the wagon
time.
driver dived on me, mate. He fancied me like that.
He thought, I've never done it under my axle before.
Oh, happy days, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, he got my belt off. I got a bit of a twinge.
No, you can't say that. That's what my mum said, you can only get a bit of a twinge.
Well, you were out of it, weren't you? I didn't know that. You didn't know.
Yeah, look at the size of me now.
Yeah, sorry. And put belt round it, pulled it out. It was nervous as hell. Picked it up. Rescue centre, I already rung them to say we spotted them because it was not coming home with me. It was never racing again. That dog was retired. If it don't want to run around one bend and
Don't
jump
matter
over,
how
it's
much you
telling me
spent or what happened,
No,
does
it
it?
never matter what I spent. It told me I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this.
It's not for me, this job.
So I rung up it's called a rescue centre. We don't rescue our dogs. They rehome them for us.
Rehome them.
You know what I mean? So I rung her up. Yep, straight away she came down. When she took him back to rehome centre, 2 days later, I said, how's he getting on? And she says, he's nervous as hell, he won't come out of his kennels. And I said, do you know something? I've also bought, it's kennel a bitch, it's kennel mate. She's never run or trialled or anything for me. She says, yeah. I said, well, I'll retire her as well. I says, if you rehome them two together, put them in kennels, you know what I mean, he'll be fine. So she said, right, yeah, thanks. So I took her down, still paid a couple of £100 for taking her. And she put them both together. And about 3-4 months, they both got rehomed together.
Both got rehomed
Which
together.
was an absolutely great end to the story.
During World War II, the only ground races that weren't suspended was the Irish Greyhound Derby and the Scottish Greyhound Derby. Many race meetings held throughout the country helped with the war effort, with money collections made frequently for various funds. The crowd remained healthy and racing provided a welcome distraction from the war. The distraction caused by the greyhound racing during that period of time was significant in that it raised an actual figure of over £49 million. An example of the sport's popularity was highlighted at the House of Commons when an issue was addressed. The issue concerned was when 500 aircraft personnel went missing from a factory that produced aircraft for the war effort. They went to a greyhound race meeting.
I used to stand next to, when I first started bookmaking, I used to stand next to old Jack Harrison. People will know Jack Harrison, but I'm talking his dad.
Yeah.
And he used to tell me how it was after the war and the money they were taking. When you saw 30,000 people at the track. And like you say, you're thinking, whoa, you know.
It was a massive spectator sport in the old days, wasn't it?
Oh, listen.
Massive spectator sport.
Like I said, the White City Derby was to behold. It was to behold. That's when your hair stood up in you. You'd never see that again. A lot of people now are looking at the Australian model, where basically it's more back to inside air. And all of a sudden, the prize money is excellent in Australia. Basically, it is all a tote operated.
Yeah.
And the proceeds go back into dog racing, prize money, which makes it attractive to home grounds there. There's even syndicates now in this country have started to buy dogs in Australia. And you're thinking, wow.
Greyhound racing's greyhound racing and flapping's flapping, and you will never ever get the same vibe, the same atmosphere as what you will, and you guys will see. The last meeting will be there'll be a lot of old people that'll be crying. There'll be a lot of old people that it's emotional to. It's emotional to me.
That's what we're going to miss in all with flapping people. Are genuine grafters as well. They work all day long.
Just to be happy to come home
Just to be
and
happy
see a
with the
dog.
dogs and come here.
Yeah.
So there's some flapping people that are a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
Trevor
I'm not
Wales
saying no
is dodgy,
names.
Dad. Trevor Wales is not dodgy. I'm not saying that. Oh, we're not allowed to say names. No, but then on the other hand with that one is, we've got to say thank you to people like Trevor, haven't we, Dad?
Absolutely.
Jimmy Mid.
There's a bloke here, Jimmy Mid, he must be 80 something now. In late 80s when I got into it, taught me everything I knew. And not a right lot, but it taught me everything I knew. And he's going to miss this like mad. All he knows is flapping. You've got Trev Wales, the biggest arted gentleman you will find in greyhound racing, whether flapping or anything. He's got an art of gold. You know what I mean? So
Loans a lot of money out, doesn't he?
I don't know if he'll have a lot of money at you.
You've got people like Mark Goodwin. He were a brilliant guy, wasn't he?
Mark Goodwin, who were he?
No, he's
He's over there.
little dumpling kind of guy. You know him, Dad?
I went out of the racing for about 12, 13 years because my wife gave me the ultimatum, me, her, or dogs, and she was fit then, so I chose her. But when I got to around about near 50, and Chris and Nicky started getting dogs again, I was getting the bug, and I just asked her to give me the ultimatum again, her or dogs. So anyway, I started with dogs again.
Yeah.
She allowed me to have one.
Then
So me and my son Joe, who were about that big then, we decided to get 4 between us, and if she does leave us, we'll look after dogs on ourselves.
Yeah, we're going to try and make it pay, but never did it?
Why?
My dad is a very funny. He's got luck. I call him. I say he's got no luck at all. If my dad backs a dog, you'd stay away from it. Anyway, so one afternoon, my brother had a dog in race. My dad had a dog in race, and another person. I won't say him. They might not want to know. Had 3 dogs in race. A 5-dog race. Can you knock 3 dogs? Yep. He said, my brother and my dad speaking to each other. Says, which dog are we going to back? Well, this dog did this time over there. And they were arguing from Wednesday to Friday. They didn't even know which dog they were going to. And then when I say knock, there's no tablets or out, it's food or whichever. And it's happened for years, these stories. So they get to Friday afternoon and my brother rings, have you knocked it? Yeah, my dad, yeah. He always like this, yeah, of course I have, yeah. Gets him put in race over 4 bends. My brother's dog leads, goes round, 3 length clear, gets to the last bend. My dad's pup came and beat it on line. 5-1, they never backed it, they backed my brother's black dog. So coming off at track, the atmosphere was dead. Honestly, they didn't even speak. Gets back to, thought you bloody knocked that. He says, no, it's only a pup, I didn't think it'd go around. The moral of that one is, if my dad has ever backed a dog or been involved with any gambling or all that, you just stay away from him. He's a bleeding jinx.
Anyway, Traps went up and I lost all my money. The pup won and people are coming up saying, thanks for that team. Even my son, my youngest son Joe, he backed it a little. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that was a good story. I lost loads.
We've had some good times here, haven't we?
See, I've never known a bookie as good as Dave. And I'm not blowing his trumpet. I'm looking from my side. Sometimes he's a fool to himself. When he loses, I'm a fool to myself. When I lose,
when he beats
it's like earlier on this year, he laid a bet on a flapping track like this. He laid a £8,000 bet, a £2,000 at 4-1. It cost him £8,000 in one race, and then he went 2-1 it, and I know he laid somebody else a 2,000 for one. So that one race, he didn't take a lot of money on race. He told me it cost him the best part of £10,000.
I think I've seen him going
in a flapping race.
His car.
I have never, in all the time I've been gambling, seen a bet of that magnitude in 50 odd years. No. That is some bet. That is some bet. But he'd no need to go that price because he's the only bookie on the track. He owns the track, he handicaps on the track, he does the traps, he lays the bets, he does everything. He's no need to go that price 4-1. He could have gone 2-1. He's the only bookie. They can't bet with anybody else. He don't have to top any other bookie up with prices. There's no other bookie going 7-2 for him to have
They
to
don't
go
like the
forth.
price to pull it out.
He
Simple.
could have said to man, you've got £500 on at 4-1.
Yep.
But he chose to take bet, and he paid out, and he took it on chin.
Yep.
It's all in good fun, you know, lads do the money and they all grump and groan, but at the end of the day, you see him back here next week or you see him at another track. You see, when we had 60 or 70, I think there was 72 flapping tracks, I'm not sure, a lot of years ago. And when you got a good dog, what used to happen then is, when I say a good dog with a bit of early pace that could get round bend, and most of the time on these sort of tracks that we run on, if you get round bend, it's 90%.
Yeah, you're in front, you're gone.
You're gone, and hopefully, if you get beat, if a dog comes and catches you on running, you can take it on chin, and that's how it goes. But what you used to do, like you'd go to say Whitwood, you'd back it, you'd get a little few quid. So, all lads were saying, come on, let's get in car. Where we going next? Where we going next? Are we going to Chesterfield? No, we're going to go other way. So you go 100 mile that way, you go up north where nobody had seen dog.
Hopefully they don't remind
Hopefully you'd win up there. If you did, you did. If you didn't, you didn't. Then you'd go from there, you'd go down to Ellesmere Port, and then a couple of weeks after. And when it's winning, cars full, everybody wants to go, and they all want £1 million on especially if it's off start and it's a good, and you all think it's a good thing. You know, then you go to Chesterton, then you'd go up to Spennymoor. It was just a case of just keeping out of everybody's way, you know, ducking and diving in cold weather, covering dog up and blacking it, you know, if it's got a few marks, put a bit of Z-bar on, try and black it out so somebody says,
white toenails.
That good dog of his has got white on its chest, and they're all at paddock looking, and that's got no white on its chest. Just little things that you do, you know. It's not dishonest, it's just trying to deceive the punters so they don't take you betting.
So you can do the bookie.
You know, and that's just how it is. But listen, many a time you come home skint, you ain't enough for fish and chips, but we enjoy it, and that's been my life since 1960 odd, you know what I mean?
This journey started because of my uncle before he passed away, 2015. We used to joke about and threaten quite a bit that we'd go down this road, get a race dog, and he used to race pigeons, and he's been a lurcher man and a terrier man all his life. I've grown up around running dogs and sight hounds, and so this is one aspect of it that I never really dabbled in. So we used to have a joke and a laugh saying we'd give it a go, and it never quite came into fruition. And while he was ill, he got my mum to get a book out the back of this Countryman's magazine, and it was a book, How to Train and Race Greyhounds. And she said, "Are you sure that's the right one? You've got lurchers." He said, "No, that's the right one." And she said, "All right, I'll order it." So she ordered it, and it was going to be like a birthday present, but he passed away, and she gave it to me posthumously, and he inscribed on the inside of it, to Scott, "Keep the dream, love Russ," and you know, that was it really. It was cemented. It took a while, it took a few years, but this is living the dream for us now.
Yeah, so when I first spoke to Scott about it, he said he'd purchased this pup at about 16 weeks of age, and by the time I saw him, she'd be maybe it's about 8 or 9 months old. And I said, well, she's a bit too young at the minute, but I said, let her get grown out, then bring her up, and I'll show you how to school her. So when he brought her up, the first time he brought her up, it was on the Lurcher race day at this track. So what we did with her that day, we just let her watch the racing. And she showed all the signs that she wanted to do it, because within watching 2 or 3 runs, she was up on the wall and watching the air go past. I said, well, that's a good sign. Maybe it's a fortnight later, Scott brought her up and I said, look, we'll give her an hand slip, which is like, this is the first time she's ever been on the running track itself. So I took her over to the back straight, took her so far up the back straight, so she got not too long a run to the bend. So I didn't want her to have too much speed hitting the bend in case she was going too fast and lost her footing and lost her balance. So halfway up the back straight, gave her a slip, off she went. I was very impressed how she went. She went round like she'd done this before. You know, to pick a puppy out, one puppy out of a litter, you know, is a bit of a lucky strike really, to get one like this. And then I said, well, the next move is to get the trap in. So the next time you come up, we'll learn her how to come out of a trap. So what we did then is, we, rather than put her in from the rear entrance as you do in races, because it's the first time in, we put her in from the front and shut the lid down on her. I said to Scott, just walk up the track and call her. And we slipped her out the trap, the lid went up, she ran to Scott. So then she knew that's the way to come out. If you put them in the back door, they expect to go out the way they came in. So sometimes they'll turn in the box, which is not what you want in a race dog. And then I've got an old race dog at home, which we use at stud now. He's 6 years old. He hadn't had a run for 2.5 years. And I said, well, what he'll do, he'll lead her to the first bend. And what we want to see her do is to go past him without paying him any attention whatsoever and run away from him and win the race. Because we're schooling this dog to win races, not to lose races. We don't want to chase in a dog home, we want to beat in it. And he's the perfect dog because she will beat him. Anyway, we did that, it worked perfectly. Joe led her to the bend, she went past him on the inside, won the trial. So I said, right, this is it then. We've now got a dog that's capable of racing. Well, the work that's been done with this dog was done before she ever came for schooling. One, he bought a very well-bred bitch. Two, we did a very good job of rearing her. Three, he did a very good job of socialising her. And when she came to me, all she needed was to take on a racetrack. And she was just straightforward. She was very straightforward. And when they're like that, you usually know you've got something. You've got something.
A lot of years ago, I used to pal about with a man called Jack Moss and his wife, Nita. He used to buy 1 or 2 dogs, and I went to Rotherham Dog Track on a Monday night, and he says, are you doing anything? I says, well, I should be going at pit like. And he says, come to Shelbourne Park with me in Ireland. So we goes over. We went to a dog track, watched racing, went out and got a few pints down us, pissed up, and got lost. I didn't know which hotel I were in. So I know the man who was looking after the dog track all night. I went back with a stagger on and I says to him, can I sleep here? He says, well, you'll have to sleep in a dog kennel. I said, in a dog kennel? He says, aye. So I slept in dog kennel in straw and I was scatting all over. And I waked up about 5 o'clock next morning and I lifted my shirt up. I thought, what's up here? I thought I had measles. I had that many flea bites all over my neck, and I should have been singing at Doncaster. So I lost a week's wage at pit because he didn't give me notice, said they were going to treat me, never give me a penny. So I should have been singing Friday, Saturday and Sunday in Barnsley, Doncaster, Leeds areas, and couldn't go because it looked as if I had measles and there were flea bites. Then we went for ferry and it was that bad weather, it couldn't turn round, it couldn't dock. And it was that bad, they couldn't turn ship. Bad ferry, was that bad. So that was one of the worst weekends I've ever had.
So we've heard from Eric Pickersgill and some of the fun side of greyhound racing, and Eric being a former stage entertainer, he's always got a story to tell. But there is a sad side to this, because obviously this is the end of an era. It's the closure of Askern Greyhound Stadium, and now we move to hear that part of the story from David Dennett. I just think it's an end of an era, and I think it's a very sad end of an era for a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, and it did still have there was still mileage left in the sport,
Yeah.
in the game. And like you said, it's just my age and things, and this is what happens. You got the offer, yeah, of course, the offer was right, and things. I'm not disputing that, but basically it was the timing as well. I've said for the last 8 years, this is my last winter.
Yeah.
Because you stand outside and things, and you feel the cold a little bit more than you did before. And I kept saying, this is my last winter.
Yeah, yeah.
But here I am, still here. But like I said, end of an era, of course it is.
They're just the salt of the earth, the lads that come on here. It's just a shame that it's closing. Everybody's heartbroken about it. There's only 2 flapping tracks left that we know about in country. It's Thornton up in Scotland, which is 4 hours away, and it's the Valley down in Wales. I think Valley's down Swansea way, which is another 4 hours away. So there's no flapping for the lads now to go. So goodness knows what's going to happen to all dogs. I think they're all going to have to retire to settee. But the flapping lads will look after them.
My dream as a child growing up was to train racing greyhounds. There wasn't ever a time when I can't remember my dad having a racing dog. There wasn't a time that I can't ever remember. Jimmy Middleton, my dad couldn't go racing, sometimes he had to work or he couldn't go trialling. Jimmy Middleton used to drive from Crossflats to pick me up to take me to Whitwood, and then I'd go to West Norton, I'd go to Ellesmere Port, we'd go everywhere. And it's not just you've got a dog, you go to one track. Years ago you'd go to, there'd be tracks all around the country. We made friends from all different parts of the world, all different parts of life. And the thing is, it's not like any other sport. You can't go out and start running around a track. You've got to breed a dog to do that. You've got to have a dog to do that. And it's always gonna shut. So it's just sad that it's shutting now. But that's just how it goes.
Oh, I'd just like to say thank you to, obviously, CJ. I've got to say that because he can get violent. And Kim. David,
can get worse than
obviously. Billy upstairs. Yeah. The girls in there, Trish and that. And mainly, one of the unsung heroes is old Dennis. I know he's over 80-year-old. He's David's sidekick. He does everything Dave asks of him. He's been 2 days printing these programmes out to now. I can ring him any time of day. Can you put me a video on internet? Because I don't know why people ring me to ask me. I think they're frightened to ask him. And he puts them all on internet for him. Dennis is really an unsung hero of this track. Yeah. But he'll knock about with Dave. They'll get up to some. Brothels
or something.
He's too old for that now.
Thailand,
but
I think.
They might open one. No, but
where's that going to be, Trev?
Next to your new house down in Village.
Oh yeah, is it Kim then? And that's the man that probably should have been my dad. And next we'll go to the reprobate that is my dad.
We're going to celebrate the last night with them, with Mark and Lindsay and that lot. So, and Chris and all of them. But yeah, they helped us with open arms, honestly they did. And it was a joy to come back racing. Because I used to race at Whitwood all over the place. And coming back here, what a joy. So that's why it's hard now for it to close down, and it's sad. It was really sad, but not just me, but there's people that's been 40, 50 years in the game and they're out of the game. Some of them I'll tell you what, some of them might even die because that's all they know. And it's like you get somebody that's old and they retire and 2 minutes later they've gone because they don't know what to do with their life. Askern were the smallest. I thought it'd be the first track to go.
Yeah,
Whitwood
the smallest,
was the
tightest
cream,
bends,
West Out and all
shortest
this
run
lot.
up.
And I used to just come here to get my dogs ready for other places. So I wasn't really bothered about winning and that lot. And then when I came back into the sport and found out how many bloody top tracks, flapping tracks have closed, and the only one standing really what Highgate, which were another one I'd tick off to one at first to close. Highgate, God bless them, they did the best. And then here, and Dave's done his best. There's no hard feelings from me as a flapping man. You know what I mean? I respect what he's done, and he just does it so he don't let people down. But now is the time for him to say, do you know something, I've done enough. You lots have had the next 2 years off me.
He's got grandkids on here.
He's got grandkids to worry about
He's
now,
got grandkids, he's got a load of properties. Now's the time for him to move forward.
So on camera, I'd like to say thank you very much for that, Dave. Thank you.
Not just Dave,
Appreciate
I'd like to say thank you to everybody.
Yeah,
everyone
Billy
that
as well.
supported us as they are. Billy's the same. Billy's be lost without this place, Bill, but
I just seen him in there, mate, he will be.
yeah, he's be lost. But yeah, I just last little thing there is yes,
thanks
thank
to
you
everybody.
to everybody, everyone that's helped us as a family, Team
Ferkel, yeah, absolutely,
and
thank you.
Just thank you.
And all the people we've made are friends and friends for life.
Yeah.
I know some of them are, but I hope they are. They're brilliant people.
I just want
You
to
can't beat
say
'em.
thank you to my missus as well, because she supported me an awful lot through this venture of coming
Do
here.
you want me to thank your mum or something?
No, just
Oh.
thank Kim.
Oh, Kim. Oh, yeah, Kim.
Yeah.
Hi, Kim. Yeah, thanks, Kim. And the last thing from me, my little son, Joe. What a diamond through it all.
Dog
Are
on,
we
they don't
going?
wanna
Get
turn
some beer.
Yeah, well,
He's a
we get
cuddle.
away.
He's a cuddle.